The day Evan and I, childhood friends, had our most explosive fight. He slapped me for Daisy. I retaliated by breaking 3 of his ribs. He screamed about divorce while I refused. I thought we'd remain locked in this bitter stalemate until death. But life had other plans. 3 months later, I fell madly for an innocent younger guy named Alex who demanded commitment. Reluctantly, I unblocked that familiar number. When the call connected, Daisy's saccharine voice taunted, "Too late, Ivy. Even if you crawl here begging, Evan won't glance at you." Calmly, I replied, "Tell Evan I want the divorce." The phone rustled before Evan's strained voice emerged, "Don't you dare, Ivy." During our worst year, I'd struck Daisy. Evan retaliated with that infamous slap and his first divorce threat. For years, he'd nagged me to be more docile like Daisy. That single mention of divorce? I broke his ribs mid-sentence, choking him unconscious as he tried to speak. Before blacking out, he heard my vow, "You'll never escape me. Daisy remains the mistress. You'll both rot in my shadow." I'd stockpiled properties for our lifelong war of attrition. 3 years of marriage had transformed me from blushing bride to vengeance-driven madwoman. These 2 had destroyed me. I'd gladly waste my life destroying them. Yet fate intervened on day 3 of my crusade. Preparing to torment Evan at his hospital bedside, I tripped over a collapsed Alex outside my gate. The starving teen mistook my red dress for his long-lost mother's, the woman who'd abandoned him wearing crimson. When he weakly grasped my hem whispering "Mom," I initially laughed at the absurdity, until I noticed Alex's earnest concern. Despite his towering 6 feet 3 inches frame, the boy radiated vulnerability as he rested his head on my sofa, liquid brown eyes tracking my every twitch. Where others saw madness, he saw me. Realizing the malice I had just directed towards such an innocent soul, I felt troubled yet didn't know how to apologize. 3 years of toxic marriage had taught me only to mask vulnerability with aggression and provocation. My entire existence had revolved around Evan, nearly making me forget that before becoming his wife, I'd been the most accomplished heiress in Harbor City. That poised, self-assured version of myself seemed buried in memory's deepest vaults. The world tasted bitter on my tongue these days. I'd believed myself condemned to perpetual hatred until Alex reached out, pawing at my hand like an eager puppy until my palm opened to receive his pendant, the one he'd worn since birth. His parents' final gift before tragedy struck. After his father's accidental death and mother's remarriage abandonment, this trinket remained his sole tangible memory of love. "Used to be my most precious thing," Alex said, folding my fingers around the keepsake. "Now you are. Hope this makes you happy." His lips brushed my clenched knuckles before he stood, tying the apron I'd originally bought to brain Evan during arguments. The spatula looked comically small in his large hands, yet he moved with practiced ease, sunlight gilding his amber puppy dog eyes as he hummed over the nutritional meal preparation. "Why so happy?" I blurted, drawn to his radiance. "Because I get to cook for you." Simple words with layered meanings: gratitude for having someone to nourish, security in our shared space, or perhaps something more. I chose not to dissect it, watching steam curl from the skillet that once symbolized violence, now fragrant with rosemary chicken. Under my protection, Alex had secured decent employment at last. At 19, the lanky orphan no longer endured workplace bullying, his gangly frame filling out in tailored shirts I'd provided. Each evening he returned bearing grocery bags, fretting over my slender wrists, "You'll snap like twigs." Unaware I'd taken boxing lessons to pummel Evan and Daisy. Irony tasted sweet. The same hands meant for vengeance now gently measured Alex's protein shakes. His colleagues described him as quiet but kind, the office workhorse who completed others' tasks without complaint. Social anxiety tinted his cheeks pink during conversations. Yet his actions spoke volumes. When his stolen backpack left him starving, he'd rationed water for 3 days rather than beg. Now, security allowed his natural sunshine to emerge. though trauma's shadows lingered in how he triple-checked door locks or saved leftovers just in case. We were opposites, me, the jaded socialite armored in sarcasm, him, the guileless laborer radiating earnest warmth. Yet as he presented my plate with boyish pride, I caught myself mirroring his smile, the pendant's weight in my pocket feeling less like a chain and more like possibility. The current version of me is a bit too consumed by darkness, spending each day obsessing over how to torment my cheating husband Evan and his little mistress Daisy. Though I missed my chance to flaunt my victory at the hospital when I feared Alex might die on my doorstep. That doesn't mean I've given up on making Evan's life hell. This man who grew up with me for 27 years, who once burned with youthful passion to pursue and protect me, only to grow bored within a year of marriage and chase after some doe-eyed girl bearing faint resemblance to me. Our last encounter plays on loop in my mind that day in Evan's office when I'd come to discuss divorce. 3 years of marriage yielded only 12 months of genuine affection. The remaining 24 were spent drowning in self-doubt until I finally gathered the courage to face our failed union. But before I could speak, I discovered Daisy crouching beneath his desk, exchanging heated glances while shamelessly using me as part of their twisted game. The little idiot actually thought she was hidden, smirking against Evan's thigh while he threw his head back with that familiar groan. I moved before thinking, yanking her from hiding by her honey-colored hair. The satisfying crack of my palm against her porcelain cheek echoed through the room. Ivy. Evan's voice froze me mid-step. I turned instinctively, only to see stars as his retaliatory slap rocked my head sideways. When my vision cleared, he was lounging in his leather chair like some depraved king. Finally learned to fight for my attention? His mocking laugh scraped raw nerves. Pathetic. You're becoming grotesque. His cruelty whipped through me like shrapnel. I remembered our first date, how his eyes had sparkled when he said you carry yourself like royalty. I want to be your knight. Now it was Daisy knows how to please me. You? Prove you love me more than she does. At charity galas, he'd parade Daisy around while guests whispered about the icy wife standing apart. Crystal chandeliers became my solitary crown until the night I threw my wedding ring at his feet. Then he'd chase me through empty corridors, pressing desperate kisses to my throat. You're jealous, he'd murmur against my pulse. My perfect rose, even your thorns excite me. The man was clearly unhinged. Yet I stayed, bound by family alliances and my own crumbling pride. Until the day I snapped. Blood dripped from the brass bookend in my hand as Evan lay dazed on the Persian rug. Daisy cowered in the corner like a frightened mouse. Divorce me, he rasped through split lips, and I'll ruin you. Something broke then. I knelt beside him, smiling as recognition flickered in his swollen eyes. Know what's beautiful, Evan? Assault charges carry prison sentences. Domestic disputes? Just counseling. My grin turned feral. We're staying married. I'll torment you until we're both skeletons dancing in this gilded cage. My hands found his throat as madness sang in my veins. Why not end it? But death would be too kind. No, let him live in this hell we've made. Now my fingers tremble uncontrollably. The pills rattle in their bottle. Some days I can't tell whether I'm swallowing antidepressants or poison. The society pages call me unhinged. Let them. This twisted pas de deux is all I have left. The next moment, a gentle warmth pressed against my palm. Turning around, I found Alex kneeling beside me, carefully prying open my clenched fist marked with crescent-shaped indentations. When massaging my palm and offering water failed to soothe me, he pressed his cheek against mine, anchoring me through the emotional storm. The boy gazed up with puppy dog eyes, his youthful face flushed pink from ears to cheekbones. Though undeniably handsome with his chiseled features hinting at mixed heritage, Alex's crystalline sincerity always tempered any improper thoughts. His concerned expression outweighed self-consciousness as he finally gathered courage. Please stop hurting yourself, he implored, tenderly lifting my other hand to rest atop his cropped hair. When Alex first arrived, I jokingly bargained that free access to touch his bristly crew cut became his rent. Now watching his earnest attempts to comfort me, I confronted the question burning in my throat. Alex, what do you really want after all this time beside me? I once believed in soul-deep connections. Evan wove me a grass ring at 5, declaring me his princess to protect. Throughout school, he shielded me from admirers while rebuffing his own. Why would I look elsewhere with Ivy here? He waited faithfully during my London studies, embracing me during first snowfall while whispering yearnings. Even supported my corporate battles against half-brothers, joking about becoming a trophy husband when I secured my first company. The night he proposed, fireworks illuminated the city as he vowed lifelong devotion. Yet I overlooked subtle warnings, his wistful comments about wives becoming more domestic, his resigned sighs about following my queen to conquer worlds. Now he lavished younger women like Daisy with replicas of gifts once meant for me. She deserves rewards for being agreeable, he'd say, while lecturing me. Fairy tales end at weddings. Ivy, stop playing CEO and learn to be a proper wife. As my blood turned to ice, he savored my devastation like fine wine. I'd fall for the Ivy of yesterday again, but current you holds no charm. His cruelty shattered my faith in humanity, including my suspicion toward Alex. I'd waited for him to demand money or connections, to reveal some exploitable greed. Instead, he murmured, "I've found an apartment, but may I still cook for you sometimes?" His voice dwindled as he stared at his shoes. Alex. My calm tone made him jolt, scarlet spreading across his face. Do you want this? When he stayed silent, I suddenly curled my lips into a wicked smile. Last time in the shower, I heard you calling my name. So sorry, so sorry. The boy's eyes glistened with humiliation, looking like he might burst into tears. You kindly took me in, yet I had such filthy thoughts. I remembered how I'd investigated Alex Taylor's entire background the day after he moved into my place. Every detail laid bare. That's how I knew he remained untouched. In that moment, my teasing urge vanished. Tilting his chin up, I demanded bluntly, "Hold me." When his muscular arms encircled me, I felt momentarily dazed. I'd expected memories of Evan to flood back, the rage when he'd paraded Daisy past me, the bitter satisfaction of revenge. Yet there was nothing. My entire attention got captured by the boy's eyes overflowing with devotion, their slight crinkle and fluttering lashes. When those toned muscles tensed around me, his breathing fractured into puppy-like whimpers. I admitted this was the most relaxed I'd felt in 3 years. Whatever Alex's motives, he served as perfect distraction from my emotional quagmire. Plus, with his clean bill of health and enthusiasm, I wasn't exactly losing out. My teeth sank into my lower lip until his thumb gently pried it free, his movements frantic with concern. My control shattered just as my ex-husband's call came through. These past months I'd ignored Evan, yet he kept crawling back. Ivy, that $3 million necklace we bought needs to arrive immediately. It'll complement Daisy's evening gown perfectly. The money's hitting your account. I promised her this gift. When I stayed silent, his voice dripped mock concern. Pouting again? Don't blame me, Ivy. Such jewels suit her current charm better. What use are they to you now? You can't attract anyone anymore. A moan escaped me. The line went dead silent before Evan exploded. Ivy Smith. Where are you? What are you doing? None of your damn business. I rasped. God. Fine. I'll sign the papers. Just stop cock-blocking me with your pathetic calls. Evan kept shouting as Alex nuzzled my neck, whining, "No more talking to me, sister." His calloused palm traveled up my arm, decisively ending the call. The phone stayed off for 3 glorious days. When I finally powered it on, I lay nestled against Alex's chest while his large hands massaged my calves. Each playful squirm made him blush crimson. I considered teasing him more, but memories of his bedroom ferocity made me reconsider. Scrolling through messages, most were from Evan, dozens of missed calls and escalating texts. 3 days ago, you dared cheat on me? Yesterday, stop this madness. Ivy. You can't live without me. This self-destructive act proves it. Don't force yourself into things you hate. My eyebrow arched. Things I hate? My palm slid over Alex's defined abs. Oh, I'm loving this. Evan's final text, face reality. You're not that untouchable first love anymore. No one else will stick around. Want my affection? Learn obedience. I'm waiting if you beg properly. Previously. Such words would have sent me spiraling into vengeance. Now, meh. Freed from emotional ties. His taunts seemed laughably juvenile, especially after experiencing what a 19-year-old athlete's body offered. Risking my life over Evan that mediocre post-25 has been? What wasted effort. Should have embraced this enlightenment sooner. Smirking, I dialed Evan. Let it ring endlessly, his petty power play. When Daisy's saccharine voice answered, I almost laughed. Ivy? Evan's showering. Too late for apologies anyway. Your tantrums just made him despise you more. Tell Evan I'll divorce him. Silence. Then scrambling noises before Evan's controlled fury. Ivy. If you want me back, there's only one way. Don't make me repeat myself. I hung up, turning to find Alex's puppy dog eyes already seeking approval. His earnest expression almost made me feel guilty. Almost. Compensation settled. Your little girl can be made official in a month. Impossible. This time, Evan's refusal came firm and final from the other end. I had no time for circular arguments. Get it done. My boy needs his status secured yesterday. I won't waste breath on pleasantries. The line went dead. 2 heartbeats of hollow silence collapsed before my phone erupted with incoming alerts. With practiced efficiency, I ejected the SIM card and messaged my assistant via burner phone to engage our corporate attorneys in drafting divorce papers. Alone in the sun-drenched penthouse, I shivered despite the California rays flooding through floor-to-ceiling windows. Wrapped in a cashmere throw that did nothing against the ice spreading through my veins, I catalogued the hollowness where triumph should have been. At 34 with artfully maintained chestnut waves and weekly dermatologist appointments, I looked every inch the Newport Beach socialite. Yet my reflection showed crumbling infrastructure, vitality leaching from manicured fingertips. Life retreating from chambers of a heart that beat purely from muscle memory. 3 years. 3 years circling the drain with that walking liability. When I'd spent decades building an empire from scraps. The boardroom shark who'd wrested 3 tech startups from my philandering father's conglomerate at 26. The darling of Silicon Valley society pages who turned venture capital pitches into bloodsport. I traced the condensation on my whiskey glass, remembering the wide-eyed 10-year-old returning from Napa Vineyards to a Bel Air mansion overrun with my father's mistresses and their broods. Mother's perpetual weeping. Her theatrical performances of wounded virtue whenever I showed impatience. Darling, can't you see your father's behavior destroys our family? The parade of half-siblings began arriving before the ink dried on my prep school acceptance letters. By senior year at Stanford, I could parse hostile takeover clauses faster than most students ordered pizza. That first encounter with Evan at the country club haunted me still, his boyish grin cutting through the vulturine crowd. Whispered promises of protection from all these vipers. The heir to Johnson Pharmaceuticals declaring me his personal project. His princess to safeguard. How poetic that the knight's armor proved gilded tin. The prenup I'd insisted upon now felt less like foresight than self-flagellation. A warm thumb brushed away the traitorous tear I hadn't acknowledged. Through blurred vision, I found myself staring into concerned hazel eyes that mirrored the Pacific at dawn. Alex stood before me, his face etched with concern. The meal tray in his hands trembled slightly as he confessed. I went to fix dinner earlier. I shouldn't have left you alone. The young man carefully set down the dishes before settling beside me, his voice barely above a whisper. May I hold you? When I nodded, those muscular arms encircled me with unexpected gentleness. Every fiber of Alex's being seemed tensed as if cradling fragile porcelain. This wasn't an embrace of possession but rather him becoming my human pillow. As my cheek pressed against his solid chest, The rhythmic thud of his heartbeat gradually warmed my fingertips still chilled from earlier distress. He cradled my wrist against his heart, murmuring, "Stop punishing yourself." Those earnest words echoed his previous plea. "Use me however you need, anything to see you smile again." The raw sincerity in those clear eyes burned brighter than any declaration, his gaze holding that dangerous intensity only youth can sustain. Love might be life's most unreliable currency. Yet even temporary relief has its uses. For now, Alex's unwavering devotion became my emotional life raft. The vengeful voices that once screamed for mutual destruction in my mind were fading, replaced by growing clarity. 3 years of cultivating emotional barbed wire had only bred shared ruin. Now, watching sunlight gild Alex's worried brow, survival transformed into something sweeter, thriving. As I leaned against his chest later, the world dissolved into white static. No Evan haunting my periphery. No Daisy's simpering giggles. Not even Alex's grounding presence. Just my rain-soaked reflection staring back through the downpour. No more self-betrayal, I vowed, fingertips brushing the phantom glass between us. On the appointed divorce day, Evan's absence spoke volumes. My assistant tracked him to that familiar upscale lounge where he'd often entertain clients. I found him in the VIP booth, whiskey-scented lips pressed to Daisy's temple. His drunken smirk twisted upon my entrance. "She's better," he slurred against her hair. "At least this one's got a working heart." The crack of my palm against his cheek echoed through the suddenly silent lounge. Papers rained down around us as I threw the divorce decree. "Evan!" The false intoxication evaporated from his furious glare. "Sober enough now?" "Sign." "Never." He staggered upright, liquor breath condemnation washing over me. "You never understood. I bent over backwards courting you, why can't you yield just once?" My second slap snapped his head sideways before he finished the sentence. "Because you're the fraud," I hissed, smothering your true colors until the mask cracked. "Now you demand others reshape themselves to your convenience?" The devastated look he wore might have moved me, 3 years and 200 broken promises ago. When my hand rose for a third strike, Daisy flung herself between us. "Blame me, Ivy. Don't hurt Evan." Behind her martyr act, Evan's sneer died mid-formation as warm fingers enveloped mine. Alex examined my reddened palm, breath ghosting over stinging skin. "Did this hurt you?" The question held layered meaning, his thumb brushing my pulse point where Evan's stubble had scratched. In that heartbeat, 2 decades of conditioned self-restraint dissolved. My free hand clutched Alex's shirt as laughter bubbled up sharp, unhinged, and utterly liberating. Under the dim lighting, his eyes gleamed intensely. Evan's face darkened. "Ivy, give me an explanation." Ignoring him, I pinched Alex's cheek. "After we finish the divorce paperwork, I'll take you for a drive." "Ivy!" Evan's voice rose, irritation evident at being overlooked. "Sign the papers. I'm on a tight schedule." Turning around, I regarded him coldly. Evan studied my expression, confusion shifting to anger as he realized my resolve. "You're leaving me for this boy? What does he even offer?" "He's young and knows how to charm me." "Knights have an age limit too. Remember?" I threw his own words back at him, the same justification he'd used when wanting to divorce me over Daisy. His lips trembled. "You know I never actually." The sentence died as he grabbed the divorce papers, shredding them violently. "I won't sign. We're bound together till death." "Ivy!" I didn't glance back as I led Alex out, casually remarking, "We'll discuss this another time. My boy's hungry." The crash of overturned furniture echoed behind us. Outside, I noticed Alex's flushed cheeks. "I'm not a boy," he murmured, swaying slightly as he pressed closer. His puppy dog eyes gleamed with mischief. "I can prove it. Later." I ruffled his tousled hair. "You've work tomorrow. Don't exhaust yourself." But I have stamina to spare. He insisted, nuzzling my palm before kissing my fingertips. When I tugged his tie, he lifted me effortlessly. To the car. I breathed, already being carried toward the parking lot. When Evan refused the divorce, I stopped negotiating. At the next upscale gala, I arrived arm in arm with Alex, mirroring Evan's past behavior with Daisy. His friends stared awkwardly. "Sis, what's this?" one dared ask, remembering how they'd addressed Daisy as little sis. I smiled sweetly. "Meet your new brother." By dawn, the entire elite circle knew I'd cheated on Evan. The confrontation came when I demanded, "Give me that limited edition watch back. I'll pay retail, it's meant for youth. Not old ginger like you." Evan froze, recognizing the anniversary gift. "Must we air dirty laundry like this? The whole city's laughing at us." I shrugged. "I've been the joke before. Now it's your turn." Our stalemate broke when Alex appeared wearing a kitten print apron, timidly pulling my sleeve. "Sis, your ex looks pale. Should I set an extra plate?" "I didn't bring Daisy today," Evan growled through clenched teeth. "That should show my sincerity." "Send him away." Alex brandished his spatula indignantly. "Not parading your mistress isn't a virtue worth bragging about." "And you're not the other man?" Evan shot back. "Different." Alex squared his shoulders. "I'm the upgrade, young, devoted, and good in bed. Real assets." Later, as Alex pondered the other man label, I didn't console him. My marriage days were over, the divorce demand was mere formality. Yet come nightfall, he'd resolved his crisis. I didn't know about her then. Even if I'm the other man, well, let them talk. I'm staying. His boyish grin returned as he nuzzled my neck, youthful persistence triumphing yet again. So I continued to flaunt Alex around. I bought him a yacht and set off fireworks. I even gave him a high-profile sinecure with equal shares as Daisy in our jointly funded company. Privately, Alex transferred all the assets back to me. Publicly, he leaned into his role as the flamboyant homewrecker with increasing relish, glaring theatrically whenever Evan appeared. It was absurdly entertaining, so I let him have his fun. The first to crack was Evan's mother. During our tense tea session, the woman who'd once praised me as her perfect daughter-in-law now hissed about disgrace. "I'm simply mirroring Evan's behavior." I shrugged, lounging against the silk cushions. Why was it acceptable when he kept mistresses, but scandalous when I have a companion? Her porcelain cup rattled as I gripped her wrist mid-swing. "Careful," I murmured. "I make a habit of slapping your son. Don't tempt me to expand my repertoire." Evan emerged from behind the painted screen, jaw clenched. "Let's divorce then. Stop harassing my mother." His facade cracked when we sat across the negotiation table. "What if I beg you to stay?" His fingers whitened around the unsigned papers. "You're still the girl I dreamed of marrying. To humiliate and diminish?" I pushed the documents forward. "Sign." Instead, he swept everything to the floor. "You've regained your brilliance," he breathed, climbing onto the windowsill with manic fervor. "If you leave, I'll jump." I checked my buzzing phone, Alex asking about dinner plans. "People stop caring once love dies." I quoted his own words back at him, texting my reply. The fourth floor drop would only bruise his ego. "Don't you dare walk away." Evan's scream turned venomous. "If I can't have you, I'll destroy everything." I paused beneath the security camera's red blink, smiling at its recording light. "Let him try." Evan Johnson burst into laughter. "The cameras have been tampered with. If anything happens to me today, you'll be charged with attempted murder." "Ivy, your recent actions have been far more conspicuous than mine. When this blows up, both your reputation and the Smith family's legacy will be ruined. You'll lose that pathetic startup of yours and spend the rest of your life trapped by me." He released his grip and deliberately fell backward in a straight line. Sighing, I retrieved my own hidden camera from the flower bed. Did he really think I'd trust him again? The distant screams confirmed he'd hit the ground. Peering over the balcony, I saw Evan sprawled on the pavement, blood pooling beneath his skull as bystanders froze in horror. I dialed 911 with clinical efficiency. The diagnosis came swiftly: spinal cord injury. Permanent paralysis. Applying red lipstick with steady hands, I visited my husband's hospital room. Daisy sat weeping at his bedside, scrambling away like a frightened mouse when I entered. Ignoring her, I perched on Evan's bed and fake sobbed. "Oh honey, you poor thing. They say cheating leads to ruin. But look at you, only half ruined." Alex chimed in from the doorway. "What were you thinking, bro? You had it all and threw it away." Evan's eyes bulged impotently above his oxygen mask. The Johnson matriarch stormed in, shrieking, "I thought you wanted a divorce. Take your boy toy and get out." Examining my manicure, I purred. "Where's your family loyalty, Mother Johnson? In sickness and in health. Remember? His company needs proper management now." The old woman collapsed in a dramatic faint. Turning to Daisy, I smiled sweetly. "Since Evan's condition is permanent, I'll be transferring him to a public ward soon. You'll return every cent he spent on you by tomorrow." Her tearful nod satisfied me. Leaning over my husband's immobilized form, I waved our unsigned divorce papers before shredding them. "Don't worry, darling. We'll stay married, just like you always wanted." My whisper carried lethal sweetness. "Do outlive your mother, won't you? Inheritance laws favor surviving spouses." Tears leaked from his unblinking eyes. Mine too, tears of gratitude. Our mutual friends had warned me about Evan's planned accident. How thoughtful of him to cushion his intended fall area with padding, which I'd replaced with strategically placed rocks. Karma's a bitch when you land headfirst on landscaping stones. "Since you adore Daisy so much," I announced cheerfully, "she'll be your primary caregiver. Such devotion ensures no bedsores. Right?" His strangled gurgles sounded like agreement. Weeks later, Alex found me reorganizing the Johnson empire. "Leaving so soon?" I asked. "19's too young to be a professional homewrecker." He grinned. My secretary transferred $7 million to his account, a fitting farewell gift for the boy who'd anchored me during darkest days. As for Evan, maintaining our marriage maximizes financial advantages. Let the world see the devoted wife tending her invalid husband. The monitors beep steadily as I review stock reports beside his bed. Our twisted fairy tale preserved in legal perpetuity. When he left, Evan kept reminding me to eat properly. Sitting in my high-rise office overlooking the river, I thought perhaps this was what they call the one that got away. I called my secretary. "If the old man wants to discuss business with me, tell him to clean up his messy affairs first." The father who once held himself above me now speaks with deference. This must be the Alpha CEO starter pack: wealth, solitude, and a departed first love. There'll probably be some overly dramatic reunion down the road. Thankfully, I no longer have stomach issues from skipping meals and have learned to leverage every resource for self-care. I don't crave sentimental attachments anymore, nor am I shackled by resentment. This equilibrium suits me just fine.